Good evening, and welcome to tonight's Zoning Board of Appeals hearing. Let me introduce some members of government that assist this board. To my left is Martin Simon, Assistant Town Attorney. To his left is Blaise Zanadio, a planner in the Planning Department. You're all here tonight to try to help you achieve the relief you are requesting whenever possible. It's up to you to provide us with precise and accurate information so we as a board can make a decision based on the facts presented. It's up to this board must consider the 5 area variance considerations in order to render decisions. They're listed here for you, and they're also posted up there. Number 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the variance. Number 2, whether benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance. Number 3, whether the variance is substantial. Number 4, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. And number 5, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. Procedures for tonight's meeting. Cases will be called in the order they are advertised. When you are called, please present your certificates of postings or mailings to Mr. Donadio if you haven't done so already. Then you'll be asked to go to the podium where you'll state your name and address for the record and then proceed to tell us why you need your variance. At the end of your presentation, if anyone in the audience would like to speak on your case, they will be given one opportunity to do so, and then the applicant can go back to the podium to answer their concerns. Once the public hearing is closed, no further information will be accepted concerning the case. There are 2 ways to find out about your case. You can call the Planning Department tomorrow after 12 noon, or you can wait to be notified by mail.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first case on the agenda, case number 19153, Robert and Melissa Greenberger, 16 Foothill Lane, Smithtown. The location of the property, the north side of Foothill Lane, 80 feet west of Barry Lane. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 50 feet to 41 feet for a proposed 234 square foot rear roof deck.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Janice Whalen, W-H-E-L-A-N. My office is at 23 Green Street, Huntington, New York, Suite 205. I represent Mr. and Mrs. Greenberger this evening. They've been long-term Smithtown residents, purchasing their home in 2002. They raised their family. Very simply, the relief we request this evening is a rear yard reduction in order to construct a 234 square foot sunroom. And I just want to show you the entire reason for the variance request is the irregularly shaped rear property line. So we've got about 134 feet in the front, but the rear lot line only measures 72 feet. Apparently the property was kind of like just cut in a manner that we've got inconsistent side yards. One measures 108 feet, the other measures 134 square feet. The only practical area in the rear of this property to put this sunroom is exactly where we situated it, which leads to the shortened rear property yard. But if you look at the survey, if I haven't made it make sense, looking at it visually, it makes sense on the survey. The sunroom will be constructed by Four Seasons, and again, there's a little niche in the property, in the building, so that's the most probable place to place this sunroom. We don't believe that this relief will cause any adverse impact to neighboring properties. I just took a Google screenshot of the rear yard, and it looks like it's fully screened from any neighboring views. I would argue that the variance is not substantial. It certainly is a self-created hardship, but that by itself shouldn't lead to denial. And we would ask that the requested relief be granted.
It looks like the 41 feet.
Only in one corner.
I'm sorry, it looks like it's only in one corner.
Correct. Could I show you the site plan so you could see it?
We have it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
Planning, Sabrina?
No, thank you.
Planning?
No, thank you.
Not in order. Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
The next case on the agenda, case number 19165, Robert and Christine Lawrence, 62 Valley Avenue, Smithtown. The location of the property, the west side of Valley Avenue, 238 feet north of Landing Meadow Road. The property is zoned R43. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the total side yards from 60 feet to 49 feet, to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 100 feet to 63 feet for a proposed 1,239 square foot first floor addition and proposed 310 square foot side porch.
Good evening.
Good evening. I want to first thank the members of the board for their time tonight. So we initially came before you guys last year.
Excuse me, can you just introduce yourself?
Oh, sorry. Christine Lawrence and Robert Lawrence of 62 Valley Avenue in Smithtown.
Okay, thank you.
We initially came before the board last year to put a second story on our home, but due to many factors, we're here now with a amended plan to do a single story home instead. The variance that we seek is for a total from 60 feet to 49 feet for the side yards, and the required rear yard from 100 feet to 63 feet, and to add to a lawful non-conforming structure. As you can see, our house is right on the property line on the one side. That's just how it was. So now, in order to bump out, we will be encroaching 11 feet into that 60. Into that 60 required. So we've already reached out to DEC. They're in the process of approving our amended plans. And we also reached out to the septic company to give them amended plans as well for our grant approval. We'd also like to point out that our property is zoned for 1 acre. However, we only have half an acre. So with the size of our lot, being that it's narrow, it's a little difficult with those side yards. Also, many of the properties in the area who are on half an acre as opposed to an acre have the same issue, and a lot of them do have this variance. We've reached out to our neighbors, and we've gotten overwhelming support. We even have 2 letters from 2 neighbors who touch our property lines. So we're at the point where our family's growing, and we've outgrown our home, so that's where we're at right now. So we hope that you can grant this for us so that we could move on with our home remodel. And I want to thank you so much for your time again.
Thank you. Is there anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
No, thanks.
Planning?
No, Mr. Chairman, we do have a couple of letters from neighbors that the board may wish to read.
We'll put these letters into the record.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Sabrina?
Mr. Chairman, our comment was regarding DEC, but the applicant has addressed that she's in the process of getting the plans approved from them, so we're good.
Oh, okay, good. Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Can I have a motion to close the application, please? Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you again.
You're welcome.
The next case on the agenda, case number 19169, Jack Curto, 11 Pumpkin Road, St. James. The location of the property is the east side of Pumpkin Road, 187 feet south of Storybook Lane. The property is zoned R21. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 75 feet to 55 feet for a proposed 358-square-foot rear addition.
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Jack Curto. I reside at 11 Pumpkin Road, St. James, New York. And 11 Pumpkin Road, St. James, New York. I just want to thank you all for your time. I was here last month for pretty much to reduce the rear yard setback from 75 feet to 55 feet. I was granted a variance, but we decided to shift the addition over a little bit because it was kind of blocking the view of our backyard. So I'm asking for relief to, please, if you could grant me this variance. So that yellow box was centered in the middle of the rear of the house for the last month I was here. So we're just shifting it over.
All right. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Planning?
No, thank you.
Sabrina?
Mr. Chairman, the revised survey does indicate that the existing 6-foot PVC fence rear encroachment onto town property has been removed. However, there are existing trees in that same area, so we recommend the applicant contact the Highway Department regarding that encroachment.
You all right with that? Okay, fine. Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
Have a great night. Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 19170, George Wright, 21 Quenzer Street, Nesconset. The location of the property is the east side of Quenzer Street, 135 feet west of Midwood Avenue. The property is zoned R15. The applicant is requesting variances to increase the maximum permitted paved surface in the front yard from 25% to 32% for existing paving, to increase the maximum permitted paved surface in the rear yard from 25% to 26%, reduce the minimum setback of paving from a property line from 1 feet to 0 for the existing rear yard paver patio, to increase the height of a 6-foot fence on top of a 1-foot retaining wall from 6 feet to 7 feet.
Good evening.
Good evening. How you doing? My name is George Wright. I live at 21 Quenzer Street, Wisconsin. The first variance is to decrease the minimum setback from the paving from the property line. As you can see, the property is a wedge shaped, so as the pavers were done in the highlighted area, only a certain section of that area was underneath the allowable limit. The next variance to the front yard is the driveway, increase it from 25 to 32%. It really doesn't do it justify to show that it is actually 32% because the property line, I live in a cul-de-sac, is probably double the distance from my property line to the street where there's grass. So there's plenty of grass in the front yard. And the pavers from the backyard, if you could increase it from 25% allowable to 26%. And then the fence, because of the pitch of the property, I raised the fence up. So I'm here with a shirt in front of you guys. My neighbors don't want to see me without a shirt on in my pool, so that was the purpose. That's it.
All right. Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Planning?
No, thank you.
Sabrina?
No, thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Do you have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
The next case on the agenda, case number 19173, Timothy Gibbons, 9 Elaine Court, Smithtown. The location of the property is the west side of Elaine Court, 350 feet north of Amsterdam Road. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the minimum front yard setback from 40 feet to 15 feet for a proposed 12-foot by 20-foot semi-in-ground pool.
Good evening.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Dean Kutsubis. I'm an expediter here on behalf of the applicant. My client, his name is Timothy Gibbons. He's a retired detective and 9/11 first responder. He's looking to install a pool located at his property at 9 Elaine Court in Smithtown. We need a variance for several reasons, and the major reason is the uniqueness of the shape of the lot. It's a very unique property if you look at the lot, and it's also located at the end of a cul-de-sac, which even makes it more unique. Based on the shape of this lot, the pool would be located, the location that he chose would be far from other residential properties. And it's also surrounded by other people's rear yards. So if you look at that map of the area, you'll see that everybody's, in the immediate area, it's mostly their rear yards that would be affected by where this pool would be located. And there's two neighbors across the street that may have some visibility to this pool, but to justify that, I'd like to just say that there is plenty of evergreen screening that's already existing, and my client is willing to plant even more trees if this was, willing to be, if this is approvable. And I did submit photos showing the, the fence location and the trees. So the pool would be properly screened by landscaping. The request is not substantial because pools are standard in residential neighborhoods. I'd also like to point out that this is a 12 by 20 pool, which is a rather small pool compared to others that I've seen. A standard one would be maybe 20 by 40. This is only 12 by 20, so it's not a very big pool. The benefit could not have been achieved by a different method, being that the shape of the property, this location was chosen as the most feasible to install a pool, otherwise in otherwise unusable land. Any other location would have brought the pool even closer to neighboring properties, and also there are power lines along two property lines, which also further restrict the location of the pool. As to whether or not this this has any environmental impact, pools are normal and are common structures which do not pose any environmental impacts. And as far as whether or not this was self-created, the difficulty was not self-created because we're asking for permission. We filed the permit before he built the pool, and we're here doing the right thing, asking for the variance before the pool goes goes and gets installed. I'd also like to point out that this isn't just for the pool. He's also planning on repaving his, he's taking down a wood deck and installing pavers. That portion of the project has a valid permit already. He didn't start that work yet, and he plans on doing all the work at once. So the paver patio plus the pool is going to get installed at the same time. And he did reach out to some of the neighbors. To my understanding, there was no objection from any of the neighbors who he spoke to about this.
In the area where the pool is going to go, is that where it's heavily buffered with those evergreens?
Yes. So, well, no, the evergreens are along they run along the fence side. So if you look like the upper right-hand photo shows so like behind those trees, the pool will be there.
Okay.
And to the picture just to the bottom of that one, he's willing to plant more if needed, if he needs more privacy.
Oh, okay.
So, if the pool is visible from that area, which it would partially be visible from there. But please understand, this is a cul-de-sac, and it's a very lightly used cul-de-sac. I've visited the property at least 3 to 4 times. It's at the end of a dead-end road which you really don't go there unless you need to go, there. So it's very light usage, unusual that, you're not going to get somebody just driving by in that area. So it wouldn't really affect, having a pool there wouldn't affect any, any immediate neighbors or anybody who drives down the street. And my client would want privacy while he's using his pool. So if needed, he will plant additional trees, but there's already trees in place.
All right, thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
Planning,
No, thank you.
Sabrina.
Mr. Chairman, the building department has indicated that a portion of the existing 4-foot PVC fence that's along Elaine Court encroaches into the town right-of-way to the east. We recommend that the applicant contact the highway department regarding that removal.
All right, so my client was aware of that situation, and he actually moved the fence so it's completely onto the property. So the fence that we see in the pictures was already moved to be completely onto the property line.
All right, we'll check into it.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 19175, Dean DeVoe, 3 Grist Mill Drive, Kings Park. The location of the property is the northwest corner of Grist Mill Drive and Ravenwood Drive. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the setback from lot line on Ravenwood Drive from 10 feet to 0 for a proposed 6-foot PVC fence.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, members of the board. My name is Dean DeVoe, 3 Grist Mill Drive, Kings Park. My wife and I moved into the house in September 2001, and we actually had a very overgrown backyard. We're on a corner lot, as you can see. We had an overgrown backyard, which we've improved by putting removing a lot of the poison ivy and dead trees and so forth, put in perimeter leyland cypresses, and installed a pool in the backyard, including a fence for safety purposes around the perimeter of the yard. The fence was 4-foot chain link, and now we're looking to increase that to These Leyland cypresses, as you can see from the photo actually, have grown quite large, and we did have them trimmed down last year, but the bottom of the trees no longer offer any privacy, so we're looking to replace the existing chain link fence with a PVC fence, which will offer more privacy, and my neighbors won't have to see me walking around in my bathing suit, which I'm sure they'll appreciate, but you know, we're looking to keep it consistent with the neighborhood. The neighboring fence on the adjacent house is also a 6-foot PVC fence, so we'd basically continue the fence line and then just along the street. Hoping to keep the trees the way they are and just run the fence along Gristmill Drive at the lower portion, you know, at up to the 6 foot.
Back of the trees or in front of the trees?
Exactly where the chain link fence is right now. I'm sorry.
In back of the trees or in front of the trees?
So the chain link fence is right along the inside of the sidewalk. The trees are inside the property line.
Right.
Now, there are also town trees that are in the buffer between the sidewalk and the street. So but they're spaced quite far apart. And in fact, some of them have been removed because of disease and so forth.
Do you step down from your property into the pool area?
Yeah, we actually have a two-level deck, which was already there when we first moved in the house. It was a wooden deck, but it had decayed quite a bit, so we replaced that with pavers. So we have two levels of pavers and then the pool level.
Okay.
The whole property is sloped quite a bit.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
Planning?
No, thank you.
Sabrina?
No, thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Sir, come on up.
Should I move away or?
Yes, you
Okay.
can just sit over here. I'm sorry? Sure. Good evening.
Good evening. Good
Could you
evening,
state
Mr.
your-
Yeah,
State
sure.
your name, spell your last name so we get it correct.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is John Gallagher, Gallagher. My wife Anna and I have been the owners of the property located at 25 Ravenwood Drive, Kings Park, since 1993. I wish to address the variance applied for by Mr. Dean DeVoe, case number 19175. Mr. DeVoe, the owner of the property at 3 Gristmill Drive, Kings Park, has applied for a variance to, quote, reduce the front yard setback from lot line from 10 foot to 0 foot for a 6-foot fence on a corner lot, end quote. This variance application should be a detailed, written commitment from the property owner that allows you to make your decision knowing exactly what you are considering. Since this application lacks such specifics, I ask that the board consider the following regarding the variance. 1, materials. Currently, the property has a 4-foot black chain link fence adjacent to the sidewalk to meet the requirement for fencing around a pool. The application does not specify what type of fence will be installed should the variance be granted. Rather than make assumptions that the fence will consist of materials like the current one, I ask that the board consider a variance contingent upon the property owner committing to using materials that match the current aesthetic. 2, color. As previously mentioned, the color of the fence currently on the property is black. This color, or a similar dark color, blends well with the surrounding landscaping and is virtually undetectable. It is my hope that, again, the board considers the aesthetic of the property when considering any variance. Regardless of color, a 6-foot fence installed up against the sidewalk will impact the appearance of the property. While there were once 6 mature town-owned trees lining both sides of the street, excuse me, of the section in question, only one sickly one remains. Any 6-foot fence will be noticeable. However, a solid white vinyl or PVC fence will certainly draw undue attention and be considered an eyesore to some and a tempting palette for others. A fence that is earth-toned would mitigate the starkness to a degree and thus have minimal impact on surrounding properties. Number 3, length. I'm aware of 2 other corner properties in the neighborhood that seem to have been granted variances to reduce their setback. 47 Dorothy Lane, with a fence of 82 feet facing undeveloped property, and 20 King Road with a fence length at 38 feet. If placed on the imprint of the existing fence at the Gristmill property, the length of any new fencing along the sidewalk will be 115 feet, 40% longer than the property at Dorothy Lane. Again, consideration should be given to the aesthetic impact the material and color of the fence will have over such a long run. I recognize and appreciate that Mr. DeVoe wished to repurpose his side property as backyard when he installed his pool more than 10 years ago, hence the 4-foot fence currently in use. My concern is that a variance considered and granted in the absence of a clear written plan with specific details regarding materials, color, and length to be employed could result in a variance that creates an eyesore and misunderstandings for years to come. I am sure none of us want that. Thank you in advance for your consideration.
All right, thank you. Anyone else like to be heard on this application? No? Would you like to come back to answer some of his concerns?
I appreciate Mr. and Mrs. Gallagher for...
Address the board.
Oh, I'm sorry. I appreciate that Mr. and Mrs. Gallagher had those concerns, and actually that was, the aesthetic is something that I'm concerned with, and my wife as well. We're not planning to put a white fence as noted. That is not our intention. Earth tone, I'm going to look at several variations, and I'll certainly discuss that with Mr. Gallagher because, as he noted, you know, he's one of the property owners that will be seeing the fence directly from his front. I'm not sure about the length along Ravenwood, but it would follow the same footprint as the fence that's existing. So we're not looking to make it any longer than the existing fence. And it would connect up to the house and also provide, provide the same, if not better, security for the pool. So yeah, the intent is to achieve or continue the same aesthetic and not make something that would be considered an eyesore. We don't want that either.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Could I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Oh, letter to the next one. Oh, I have that letter too. Yeah, right here. Mm-hmm. Okay.
You're a little premature before.
You're okay, Paul? You all right?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay.
Good? Okay. The next case on the agenda is case number 19166, Justin and Kristen Cracchiola, 10 Roseville Avenue, St. James. The location of the property is the south side of Roseville Avenue, 350 feet west of Lake Avenue. The property is zoned R21. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 75 feet to 26 feet for a proposed 241 square foot rear one-story addition, to increase the maximum gross floor area of the lot from 25% to 29%, to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 16 feet to 7 feet for a proposed 90 square foot side deck.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Kristen Cracchiola. It's my husband, Justin. We're the owners of 10 Roseville Avenue, and we'd like Ralph to speak on our behalf for our plans.
Fine, thank you.
Thank you.
Could you state your name and address, please, sir, and spell your last name so we get it correct for the record?
Ralph Michelle, Michele, 255 West Main Street, Smithtown, New York.
Thank you.
So the property is an existing non-conforming. The lot is R21, like stated. It's supposed to be 21,000 square feet. The lot is only just over 6,000 square feet. So we are proposing to put just a simple kitchen addition where the existing elevated deck is now. In the character of the neighborhood, it's not going to be seen from the street. The materials that are going to be used are to match the existing siding, roof pitch of the existing house. We did create the issue because we have no place else to put it. The property is non-conforming, and it's significantly smaller than the R21 zone that was adopted after the house was built. So that back addition is a deck now. We're not passing where the rear deck went. We're just taking the deck out and expanding a one-story rear addition. And then the existing side deck now is already there. We're just going to knock it down and rebuild it with Trex and leave it in the same manner that it was in. So we're not really changing any of the lines that you're seeing. We're just going straight back. And the deck that's on the side yard is already there at the 7.1. So we're just changing the wood to Trex, or at least just new because it's rather old. And essentially, as you see the house it's a lap siding wood, and it's going to match exactly what you see there. Same materials. It's just going to be a seamless transition right to the backyard.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
I guess my only question would be, just a little confusing with the site plan. The addition will go directly straight back and will just take the place of where the existing deck is currently? And then the deck would be extended
Right. So
a couple of feet?
So the double cross hatch, right, that you see, that is the existing deck area that's being replaced by the one-story.
Okay.
Okay, behind that are pavers on grade. So you'll see where it says 18 by 24,
Yep.
new pavers on grade. So behind the new addition, that separate hatch is just to explain that it's pavers on grade.
Got it. So the addition is basically going to take the place of the setback, which is currently the deck.
Correct, right. It's already got a deck there now.
Thank you.
Planning?
So, Mr. Chairman, just so the board is aware, the subdivision that this house is a part of was actually approved as R21CL, so it was R21 clustered, which means that all of the lots within that subdivision were reduced in lot area size, were granted smaller side, front, and rear yard setbacks, although they're still technically in an R21 zone. The properties themselves don't actually meet the R21 zoning. So therefore, the majority of the neighbors within that immediate area all have a very similar situation where they do not have a half acre of property. So anytime you add anything onto any of these homes, you're going to see an increase of FAR above what you would normally be permitted.
All right, thank you. Sabrina?
No, thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Come on up, please.
Hello,
Good evening.
how are you?
Could you state your name, please?
Sure.
And spell your last name so we get it correct?
Sure.
And your address.
We're William and Diane Brown, B-R-O-W-N, from 7 Patton Road in St. James. We live directly behind the applicants.
Thank you.
Okay? Our concerns are,
And we've lived there for 30 years.
well, our concerns are that they are looking to do a bump out in the back of their house. According to the paperwork that was sent out to us, the case number was missing on the information that was sent out to the neighbors, as well as the address is incorrect. It says 10 Roseville in Smithtown. So some of the people may not realize that this is the house directly behind them to start with. They're also looking to reduce their minimum side yard from 16 feet to 7 feet. And according to the plans that I went to see, they are looking to do a 55 square foot deck that it will be at 8 inches above grade on the west side of the house, which will be literally right close to the property line. The pictures that were submitted with the application seem to be very cloudy and gray, taken on a rainy day, and I don't think that they realize that where the property line is right where the chain link fence is. So I have taken pictures from our house to show behind the fence how close the property is. This is where they would like to do their 55-foot square fence, which is literally going to be next to the side of the west side of the home, as well as the deck in the back, which is right above, right behind the fence line. They were looking to do, apparently 28 feet was already priorly approved, and I'm not sure, we were not informed of it, as was any of the other neighbors, and I'm not quite sure why. They're just looking to do 2 more feet. That's what the variance is for. We weren't informed of the other the approval, prior approval for 28 feet. I would like to submit the pictures, perhaps you could look at them. We believe that the addition will be very close to the property line and that the property doesn't support it. It's almost like putting 5 pounds of stuff in a 2-pound box. This was the letter that was sent out.
Yeah, we have that. Yeah, we have that. Thank you.
It's missing the case number.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
That's
No?
all.
Okay. Would you like to come back to answer some of their concerns, please?
I think there might be a miscommunication on what's being done where. As we were discussing, the crosshatch for the addition is in place of the deck now. So we are not, the first floor addition is not going anywhere closer to the property line than the current deck, elevated deck is now. And then what will be closer to them is the pavers on grade. So where it says new pavers on grade, 18 by 24, 432 square feet, that's on grade. The 8-inch new Trex deck, 55 square feet, is 8 inches above grade, which doesn't, if it was not in a variance issue, wouldn't even need a permit, because it's 8 inches above grade. And that is next to the addition. So it's not behind the addition, where that line is still maintained. That line where the existing deck is, that has staircases, the staircase down, we're staying within the same horizontal plane, if you will. And again, it's a wood deck that's 8 inches above grade.
All right. Thank you. Can I have a motion to close the application, please? No. Everybody gets one opportunity.
I don't think she spoke.
Oh,
She didn't speak.
oh, I'm
Why didn't
sorry.
she speak?
Oh. Oh, you're-
Sorry, I
Uh,
apologize for my appearance. I
and
didn't expect to
A little
come.
late, but, Yeah.
I didn't know that I could come after them. You asked for them next, so I apologize. So my name is Deborah Moorcraft, and I live at 18 Roseville Avenue. I live directly the west side. I live on the, I'm sorry? Morecraft. I live at 18 Roseville Avenue, St. James, which is part of the town of Smithtown. I live to the west of them directly. So their property, if it encroaches on the west chain link fence, that's on my side. We're fine with it. I did not expect to come here, so I apologize for my appearance, because we communicated with all the neighbors, and everybody was in support of this. We are all in support of each other, beautifying the neighborhood. I live in a property that was 5 1/8 acre lots, and the property was 200 by 100. All these houses that were built in the 30s and the 40s are all non-conforming. We had to get a variance, and everybody supported us, because we put a 2,600 square foot house on our lot, and everybody supported us. So, to me, their house is antiquated. It needs to be fixed up. I'm sorry, guys, but it needs to be. And what they're doing there is going to keep them in the neighborhood, and it's going to beautify our neighborhood. We have no problem with them encroaching our property. We'll even change the property lines if we need to. So we're 100% for this, and the other neighbors are too. They didn't come because they didn't think there was going to be an issue.
All right,
So I apologize for that, and thank you so much.
Thank
Please
you.
grant this.
thank you. All right. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Get this, okay. Do you want, what do you mean, what is this? This is the letter?
Hey, Blaze, Blaze. There's no drawings. No drawings. How many times have I asked for
I
five?
know. Any papers? Do you want a paper clip on it? If it was paper clip, I don't know if he wants.
Or are they?
You're very funny. I'll keep it in vote now.
For the last case? He said there should be drawings in the file for the last case.
They got one. They got one. I didn't get anything in front of them. The last set, I didn't get a thing. We asked for 5 site sets.
Okay,
You share.
Will you share?
okay. The next case on the agenda, case number 19172, RS Enterprises USA, Inc., 20 Elm Avenue, Smithtown. The location of the property is the west side of Elm Avenue, 267 feet north of Lawrence Avenue. The property is owned R10. The applicant is requesting a variance to permit environmentally sensitive lands to be altered where depth of groundwater is equal to or less than 10 feet for a proposed 2,327 square foot, two-story single-family dwelling with a 486 square foot attached garage.
Okay. All right. We're all sharing. Yeah, wait a minute now. Wait, let me see what we
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Agnieszka Woz. I reside at 34 Village Hill Drive, Dix Hills, New York, and I am here on behalf of the owner of the property located at 20 Elm Street in Smithtown, WOS.
It's a corporation. Doesn't she have to have a title?
They're good, right?
Good, all right. I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
Yes, so the owner of the property wants to build a single-family home on the land that is environmentally sensitive land. And I I received a letter from Department of Environment and Water Waste in Smithtown informing me that the application is incomplete because they want more current test hole on that property.
Additional test hole data?
Yes.
Okay.
Any questions?
Oh, that's it?
But this is empty lot. The
Right.
street will definitely, and the whole area will definitely look much prettier with a newly built, beautiful house. The only issue is with the groundwater. The ground was tested, and the test showed that we could build the house over there, but it's not. It's too old to be considered.
All right, fine. Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
Nothing.
Planning?
No, thank you.
Sabrina?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we need current test hole data. It's more than 5 years old, so we need that in order to complete our environmental review. As soon as we get that, then we'll be able to make a recommendation.
Thank
All right,
very much.
okay.
We'll do it. Thank you. No,
All
thank
right. Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Come on up, please. Good evening. Could you state your
Good
name,
evening.
spell your last name for the record?
Yes, Marie Altenburg, Altenburg. I live at 24 Elm Avenue, which is adjacent to this property. First of all, I'd just like to say that I have no problem with the house being built on the property. Even though I'll be losing some privacy, I will welcome new families to the neighborhood. My only concern is that, according to the specs, only 2 trees are going to be taken down. And there are about 6 tree stumps along the side of the property covered with weeds that currently block my view when I back out of my driveway. And I wanted to make sure that those would be removed. There's also a metal pole or pipe sticking out of the ground. It's on the right side of the property, right alongside my driveway. I just wanted to make sure that those were going to be removed too, because the specs only show that 2 trees will be removed, and there are many trees on the property.
So right now, there's just stumps there?
Yes, and they're covered with weeds. You can,
Okay.
it makes it unsafe for me to back out of my driveway. I've tried contacting them, but to no avail.
Okay. And some type of pipe?
There's a pipe there, I don't know what it is. It's not an old-fashioned pipe that marks the end of a property line because it's about 2 or 3 feet away from the property, but it's all covered with weeds. It's all weeds in that area. You don't see it in the pictures. The pictures kind of camouflage the appearance of it. But I was just concerned about that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to be heard on this application? Sir? Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Ed Dwyer, D-W-Y-E-R. I live at 16 Elm. And again, like Marie said, I have no problem with the house. It looks like a very nice house. My concern also is with trees. On my property line, we have a 60-plus foot white pine tree. The tree, over the past several years, has wreaked havoc on my house, dropping tree-sized branches. And this tree is not marked on the survey, but it's very close to the 3rd leaching pool that'll be put in. So the ground's going to be excavated there. I'd like to know what their intentions are with the tree. That's really my concern.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience like to be heard on this application? Nope. Come on back up, please.
So I just want to assure the neighbors that
Yes,
that their intentions will be.
Could you address the board, please?
Yes. So I just want to assure the neighbors that their intentions will be respected. Whatever they want will be done while we are doing construction. They can even leave a phone number, or because they had some problem with contacting, so maybe I can leave them my phone number, or we can exchange the phone numbers, and we will do everything according to their wishes.
Okay,
There is no problem, because it will be a major construction, so for us there is no difference.
Okay. You'll
Okay.
give them your phone number and they can...
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 19174, Joseph and Robin Mendez, 39 St. James Parkway, Nesconset. The location of the property is the east side of St. James Parkway, 75 feet north of Laurelton Avenue. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting a variance to increase the maximum gross floor area of a lot from 30% to 40% for a proposed 2,660 square foot, two-story single-family dwelling with a 360 square foot attached garage.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name's Dennis Oliver. I'm the architect for Mr. Joseph Mendez.
Okay, 1 second. I need the applicant first.
Okay, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Board. My name is Joseph Mendez. My wife and I, Robin Mendez, we own 39 St. James Parkway.
Would you like this gentleman to speak on your behalf?
Yes, he is representing us.
Okay, fine.
Thank you very much, Board.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you, sir.
You state your name, spell your last name so we get it correct on the record, and your address, please.
Certainly. Dennis Oliver, Oliver, 924 Newbridge Road, Belmore, New York. As I said, good evening. We're looking to construct a new two-story wood frame single-family residence on the existing lot. It should be noted that the lot unfortunately is non-conforming. It's in an R10 zone. We're required to have 10,000 square feet. We only have 7,500. Because of that, we need a variance for gross floor area. Now, we're in compliance with everything else, side yards, rear yard. We're even short on the height by 3.5 feet, so that's not going to be a problem. It's the gross floor area that's an issue. And that's because of the requirements. We need 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms on the upstairs. It's a growing family. They need the room. We have a need for a garage as well. If we were to construct the house or design the house so it complied with the zoning code, we would probably lose 1 bedroom at least, at a minimum, and possibly most of the garage or even the whole garage itself. The main reason I designed the house to fit the lot the way it did is I visited the area when we first started this project, and I found a house at 64 St. James Parkway, same exact lot size, 75 by 100, that has 3,027.8 square feet of livable area. It already exists in the neighborhood. The lots in this area, they vary in size. Some are smaller, some are bigger. Ours is somewhere in the middle. But that house itself has the same condition that we're proposing now. 4 bedrooms on the second floor, attached garage, 7,500 square feet on the lot. I have a copy of the survey and a picture of the house for the board, if I could.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
So since there are varying size properties in the area, and also I did some more digging. There's another house over on 58 Sewanaka Avenue that's on a smaller lot. It's 50 by 100. It also has 4 bedrooms on it. But apparently at some point this needed additional variances. It has a 2-foot side yard. So I think whatever this property went through was greater than what we're requesting. Because again, we kind of fit in with the character of the neighborhood. We're not going to be overpowering the neighbors. We're in compliance with all the other setbacks. We actually spoke to the one neighbor on the left side tonight. She had a couple questions about the fence. That was it. She's happy with the way the house is laid out. But again, there are houses in the neighborhood on smaller lots that have exactly what we're doing now, and we would request that the board please look favorably on this application.
Mr. Donadio and myself, we drove past the area the other day, and 2,600 square foot house in that area is going to really stand out. We're talking about the immediate area. We rode around the whole block. There's nothing that's 2,600 square feet. Matter of fact, there's some houses that are probably about 1,000 square feet. I would say most of the homes are 1,500, 1,600 square feet in that area. The drawing or the photograph that you had shown, that's way down the block. Those homes are bigger. That's a different development.
But again, that lot size is the same size as what we have now. It's a 75 by 100.
That never came before us. I don't know.
Well,
I can't give you an answer on that.
Right.
But I'm just saying, 40% is extravagant on an R10 zone. Is there any way to cut it back?
We can. We'd kind of prefer not to, but obviously, but we can cut it back, yes. I know we can take maybe 5% off and bring it down to 35 without a problem, and still be able to give the owners what he's looking for as far as this program.
34?
34? 34? Yeah.
Well,
I think I'd still do that.
there's no decision tonight, so you could, talk it over.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we'll discuss it.
Okay?
All right, great. Thank you very much.
You have to keep it open? All right, so we have to give them a date to come back?
How about, you want to do October 22nd?
We're going to have to keep it open, so you're going to have to come back once you make your decision, unless you want to do it now. You can come up.
No, could I just ask the architect a question?
Certainly.
I don't have any problem with 35.
No?
I don't have a problem with 35.
Because we're only on 34.
What, do we want to keep open? We want to see what they do, right?
What's that?
Do we want to see what the revised plan looks like, or? Not that it really matters, but.
34% gives you 7,500 square feet. 34% gives you 2,550 square feet for house and garage.
What does he say? I can hear.
34% would give them a 2,550 square foot house with the garage. Right now, they're about three, so they'd have to cut 500 square feet off it.
Okay, yeah, all right. All right, that's what.
No, I just, if you guys want to. It all depends, is there anyone that wants to?
Okay, so we'll take the 34%.
I'm sorry.
All right,
Just want to see if anyone.
And I can change the plans and get them back to the board quickly.
okay.
All right?
Go to 34?
Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? No? You don't have any?
Just one comment. The applicant has since sent information documenting that they submitted an application to the health department. However, to ensure full compliance with our review, we wish to take in information presented by the applicant and any comments from the public before we make a recommendation to the board.
Okay, fine. So like we said, there'll be no decision tonight.
Okay.
All right? Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Motion is made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Got it?
I just pulled it away. This part is yours, I think. And there's some additional.
The next case number 19176, East End Development and Construction, Inc., 122 Fifth Street, St. James. The location of the property is the south side of Fifth Street, 244 feet west of Jefferson Avenue. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum lot frontage at setback from 75 feet to 60 feet, to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 12 feet to 10 feet, to reduce the total side yards from 28 feet to 20 feet for proposed 2,659 square foot, two-story single-family dwelling with a 308 square foot attached garage.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Vincent Tremarco. I represent the applicant. We've submitted the affidavit of posting and mailing to Mr. Donadio. My client is the contract vendee, East End Development, who's purchasing this property and the property next door, which is tax lot 2.5. That's a house that had been CO'd in 1946 on a 60-foot wide lot. On the other side of this vacant lot is another 60-foot wide lot that's improved by a one-family dwelling. Additionally, Mr. Holman, who was the contract vendor, the seller, got a variance in 1977 to add a pretty substantial addition to his house, again, on that 60-foot wide lot. What we're asking this board to do is to grant a variance of frontage at the setback line of from 75 to 60. However, when you look at the side yard variance, it's really a variance from 12 feet to 10 feet, and a total variance for the total side yards of 20 feet. So we're not asking for any FAR reductions. We're not asking for any other variances. And how it happened, I don't know, but you have a 60-foot lot on one side improved, a 60-foot lot on the other side. The lot that we're also buying that's improved, that's owned by Charles Holman, my client will be fixing up, renovating it, and improving it because it's in somewhat state of disrepair. So we asked the board for its favorable consideration. We don't think it'll have an impact on adjacent properties in the neighborhood. Again, there's a house on one side on 60 feet, a house on the other side on 60 feet. And by the way, we meet the square footage of the lot requirement. I think we're up by about 88 or 100 square feet. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other method, no, this is a single lot in an area which is kind of spotty with different types of houses and different configurations, but it's interesting that on each side there's a house built on a 60-footer which have been CO'd. The CO that Mr. Holman got, the contract vendor, was issued in 1946. Whether the request of the variance is substantial, we don't think so, because although the lot width seems substantial, we do have the square footage, and the side yard setback is only a request of 2 feet. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, not in this case, because when the original person that bought the house bought the property at a different time, a fellow by the name of Montserrat Morales, He got, as I said, he got the CO in 1946, and it was on the 60-footer. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, as I said, we don't think so in this situation, because it's surrounded on each side by houses that are built on 60-foot lots, and we do meet all the other requirements. I have Carmine Grasso here, our architect, if you have any questions about the design of the house. I'll be glad to call him up.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Planning?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Is it? Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Can I have a motion to close the application, please? Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
The next case
Oh, did you get it?
on the agenda is case number 19168, Sanja Bazaar LLC, 2160 Jericho Turnpike, Comac. The location of the property, the south side of Jericho Turnpike, 711 feet east of Veterans Memorial Highway. The property is zoned SCB. The applicant is requesting variances to increase the maximum height of a wall sign from 15 feet to 20 feet for a proposed 125 square foot wall sign, to increase the number of wall signs from a maximum of 1 to 2 signs, to permit a wall sign not to face a public street.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, board members. My name is Mohinder Singh, SINGH, and I represent my company, Sanja Bazaar LLC, 2160 Jericho Turnpike, Comac, New York 11725. As stated, we are here for 3 variances. One of them is for the height of the sign. The other one is a sign facing a parking lot. And the third one, 2 signs on a building. Well, all these 3 variances do not make any adverse to the environment. On top of that, the sign where we are putting the Sanja Bazaar sign used to be a Ace Hardware store before, and at the same place it had a sign before also. And so the nature of the building is such that the way the building is set up, next door we have PetSmart. PetSmart sign is also at the same level that we are requesting. In fact, ours will be still lower than PetSmart. Another reason for the other variance is that our store faces the parking lot, which is as per the code of the town, that you need a variance if the sign faces the parking lot. So that's our second variance. And the third one is having 2 signs, because if we have a sign at the entrance of the store which is facing parking lot, we need 1 sign on the side of the Jericho Turnpike, which is our main entrance road. So that's the third variance. So these are the basically 3 variances. If the board has any question, I'm here.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
Planning?
Thank you.
Sabrina?
No, thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Can I have a motion to close the application, please? Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 19171, Houndstown, Michael Snyder, 395 Middle Country Road, Smithtown. The location of the property is the northwest corner of Middle Country Road and Marchant Drive. The property is zoned WSI. The applicant is requesting a variance to permit a 56-square-foot awning sign to be illuminated.
Good evening.
Good evening, Board. My name is Michael Schneider from Houndstown, Smithtown, location 395 Middle Country Road, Smithtown, New York. And I give Mr. Marabello permission to speak on my behalf.
Fine, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Michael Morbillo, Morbillo. My firm is Nspire Design Group. My office is located at 273 Lake Avenue, St. James, New York. And before I start my presentation, I just want to hand in a couple of exhibits just up to the board, just to illustrate the presentation. So the application before you for illuminated sign, we know that signs are not the illuminated awnings are not permitted in the code. Just wanted to start off. You may be familiar with this area. It's along where some of the car dealers are. There's the Mavis Discount Tire is next door to this, in this area, generally, there's sort of a mix of signage and other things along Middle Country Road. This building we're actually replacing an existing awning that's there. And the applicant is looking to keep, it's a franchise brand company, and which they watch pets during the day. It's a dog, basically a daycare for animals. They do a limited amount of overnight boarding, and the building is it's not immediately at the street as some of the other buildings are, and their brand is generally to have these types of warnings. They certainly want to be respectful of the town code, but since the building is set back a little bit, it's not as easy to see. It's set back a little bit further than some of the surrounding buildings. I don't know if we have it on the aerial, but it's something that generally clientele like to be able to easily kind of find the location. So in general, you can see a little bit, not entirely. The Mavis is a little bit forward of it. Probably the auto detailers are close to about the similar setbacks. Our building's at a little bit of an angle askew to the to Middle Country Road. Some of the buildings across the street are certainly closer, so signage is more easily seen. But what they're hoping for is for their patrons when they bring their pets to be kind of easily find the location. And having the illuminated sign certainly in early morning hours or in late evening hours when there's or early evening hours when there's pickup, they want to be easily identified. So they're trying to maintain their brand. They have these types of illuminated awnings in other locations. What I did bring up was that just to show a couple of nearby examples, there's a Dunkin' Donuts which is on the north side of Jericho, maybe quarter mile east of this location on the same side. They had been before the board. They were granted for an illuminated awning. It was case number 16506 from November 17th of 2011. It's been some time. There's also, that was marked on Exhibit A, that decision also included is a couple of awnings for Carvel, which everybody knows on the corner of Jericho and Lake Avenue. And then right near, actually, the Dunkin' Donuts, there's a Villa Olivetti. They have illuminated awning. They did have permits for those awnings. I'm not sure if they predated the enactment of the current requirements prohibiting some illuminated awnings. But they are illuminated, and I know that there's as far as illuminated awnings, I understand when you're maybe in a little bit of a downtown area, whether it's Lake Avenue, St. James, or Kings Park, or Main Street in Smithtown. I can certainly understand that they don't want sort of brassy awnings and other things dotting the main streets over there. But in this case, we're kind of mixed in with a lot of commercial use in the area, whether it's the auto body places, the paint stores. So basically, I don't think this is something that's going to stand out drastically or have like a strong visual impact in the community. I think it also mitigates what they do serve a community need. There's a lot of people want a place for their pets. They do kind of want it to be easily found, and especially again, their hours are generally from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. certain times of the year. It's it gets a little bit darker, so they want to be easily found by their clientele. So, based on those things, we're asking for this board's kind consideration of the application. And if you have any questions at this time, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
I do, huh? Good.
Yeah.
You said it's closing about 8 p.m. Now,
Yes.
Is the awning going to be shut down after that?
It-
Or it's going to be on all night?
It can be shut down. Yeah, it's controlled by switches. It can be on timers, so it can be shut down at night. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else on the board have any questions?
No, thanks.
Planning?
I can't really add anything to what Mr. Morbillo said. The illuminated canopy is not permitted according to the code, but as he showed, there are other locations throughout town that actually do have illuminated canopies. I just have a question about the site itself. I know that the tenant next to them, I believe that's the ABOF store.
Yes.
They also have a canopy. Do you know if that's illuminated?
I don't believe it is. I don't believe it is illuminated, that canopy. We passed by at night. We didn't see it illuminated at the time that we took some of those documentation on the pictures. So as far as I know, it's not. There may be, I don't know if there's any lighting underneath. I saw from the previous application, interestingly, like apparently, if you have lights underneath the awning, that's not considered an illuminating awning. But if there's lights up inside of the awning and the whole structure. So based on the material that I see, and it's I'll say its opacity, it seems pretty solid. So, but as far as I know, that's not an illuminated awning.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
The next case on case number 19167, V1 Church, Inc., 905 West Jericho Turnpike, Smithtown, the location of the property, the north side of Jericho Turnpike, 1,700 feet west of Plymouth Boulevard. The property is zoned WSI. The applicant is requesting to waive a condition of approval from BZA case number 13970 that states the building shall only be used for soccer.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman Benz, members of the board. J. Timothy Shea Jr., Sir Tillman Ballin, 100 Motor Parkway, Hauppauge, New York, for the applicant. The application, as Blaze had indicated, is concerning 905 Jericho Turnpike, Smithtown, New York, which is a 2.48 acre site on the north side of Jericho Turnpike, west of Old Willets Path, with commercial buildings to both the east and the west. To the west is Island Auto Repair, and to the east is a plastic surgeon. There's a residential subdivision behind us. There is buffering of approximately 100 feet between the curb line in our property and the nearest residential clearing area. The application before the board is for relief of a condition of a special exception permit that was approved on November 18th, or approved February 10th, 2004, under case number 13970, which allowed a special exception for a indoor soccer facility to be used at the site. And the condition itself says that the building shall only be used for soccer except for incidental accessory activities such as soccer lectures, conditioning, and exercises. Building shall not be used for generic fitness center nor martial arts or similar uses. Our client is under contract to purchase this property, and in looking at the title report, the title company and the lender raised an issue with regard to this condition because it would by itself preclude the use of the property for a church. A church or a similar place of worship is a permitted use under the applicable zoning, and no special permit would be needed subsequent to this. However, when we came in for a change of use, we were advised that we had to first obtain relief from the condition prohibiting any other use other than a indoor soccer facility. One more moment. And this would be for the intended use of the property and in order for our client to close on this property. Thus, we're asking that this condition be waived so our client can move toward its closing. We are not proposing any site plan modifications, and our client intends to conform with the occupancy limits established by the building department, which allows for up to 478 people and equates to the intersecting meeting the town code, which requires 120 parking stalls, where we have 126 stalls on the site. I know this board is aware of the federal and state law, which requires municipalities to afford greater flexibility and not impose restrictions, which would interfere with the religious use, and that every effort to accommodate religious uses must be made. As such, and in compliance with Title 42, Chapter 221C of the Protection of Religious Exercise and Land Use and by institutional persons and New York State law, we ask that you grant this application and waive or omit the prohibition against the uses other than use as an indoor soccer facility. I would also state the following. If the board had any concerns with regard to this application, we would also accept a modification of that condition, which would simply add in the first sentence. The building shall be used only for soccer except for incidental and accessory activities such as soccer, lectures, conditioning, and exercises, and then the change, and I can hand it up, or for use as a church or similar place of worship. If we added that to the end of the sentence, then there would really only be two potential uses for the property. It would either be soccer, indoor soccer and continuation of that, or it could be used as a church or similar place of worship, which is consistent with the wording in the town code. I understand you may or may not be able to make a decision tonight. If you are able to make a decision tonight, it would be greatly appreciated. The seller is very anxious to close on the property. Our contract has extension payments on a regular basis, and they are not insubstantial. So any courtesy with regard to that would be greatly appreciated, and I will hand up my alternate language to the condition so that the board can consider it.
Thank you.
And that concludes my presentation.
The footprint of the building is not going to change at
The
all.
footprint of the building is not going to
Will
change.
the exterior change?
It is in need of a little bit of a sprucing up. We have not gotten to that point where we've made those type of plans. We've been concentrating on trying to get to a point where we could close on the property. And then once we close, then we'll be able to seek building permits, and I'm sure a facade change of some sort will be part of that.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions?
Curious, will there be an accessory residential use there for a minister?
There will not be an accessory residential use there.
Just a quick question, Mr. Shea. On the approved site plan, there were 10 land bank stalls.
Yes.
Obviously, a church use would be, in my opinion, more intensive than a soccer facility. Would you have any problem with us in putting a condition on that would require those stalls to be developed?
We have no objection to that.
Okay, thank you.
Planning?
No, thank you.
Sabrina?
Mr. Chairman, to ensure full compliance with our environmental review, we wish to consider information presented by the applicant as well as any comments by the public before we make a recommendation to the board, so therefore, no decision will be made tonight.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? No? Can I have a motion to close the app?
Could I have one other question?
Sure.
I'm just wondering if there's any other religious institutions in the immediate area.
To be honest with you, I drove down the road today. I did not see any, but I didn't go very far past where I was going. I just needed to get a kind of the nature of the character of the area. But I don't believe, there's certainly none from Old Willits going westbound.
I mean, I can't think of
And
any.
then
I
you have the
travel that way.
park to the east of Old Willits.
Right.
So I would imagine the nearest religious institution would be much further down, down probably by 25A.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And that concludes the first portion of our meeting for tonight. Thank you. The first case we heard tonight was case number 19153, Robert and Melissa Greenberger.
Case 19153, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Motion has been made to approve as presented. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, 5-0. Next case is case 19165, Robert and Christine Lawrence.
Case 19165, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Motion has been made to approve as presented. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, 5-0. Next case is case 19169, Jack Kudo.
Case 19169, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
We did have one comment regarding if the fence was removed, if there were trees,
He actually submitted
a revised survey.
revised survey showing that the fence had been removed.
Correct, yes.
So he's good.
Okay.
Okay. So Tony made a motion. Bill, you second? Okay. Case 19169, motion has been made to approve as presented. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, 5-0. Next case is case 19170, George Wright.
Case 19170, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Motion has been made to approve as presented. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, 5-0. Next case is case 19173, Timothy Gibbons.
Case 19173, I'll make a motion to approve with the condition that the fence has been actually relocated onto the applicant's property as stated on the record.
Motion has been made to approve with conditions. It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried, 5-0. Next case is case 19175, Dean DeVoe.
Case 19175, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Motion,
Wait, are we gonna require any coloring on the fence? I know he made the statement, but.
no.
No, okay.
That would be kind of arbitrary, because I don't think we've done it in the past.
Case 19175, motion has been made to approve as presented. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, 5-0. Next case is case 19166, Justin and Christine Cracchiola.
Case 19166, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Motion has been made to approve as presented. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, 5-0. Next case is case 19172, RS Enterprises USA, Inc. No action. Next case is case 19174, Joseph and Robin Mendez. No action. Next case is case 19176, East End Development and Construction, Inc.
My only comment to add to this application was that our determination was based on the applicant receiving approval from the Department of Health for the proposed future development of the site.
And have they received that?
They have not, but they're working towards it. It's been noted that they are in the process of doing that.
Is everyone okay with that
Yes.
Yeah.
application? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Motion has been made to approve as presented. It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried, 5-0. Next case is case 19168, Brazil LLC.
Case 19168, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Motion has been made to approve as presented. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, 5-0. Next case is case 19171, Houndstown.
Case 19171, I'll make a motion to approve as presented with the condition that the illuminated awning is turned off when the business is closed.
Motion has been made to approve with conditions. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, 5-0. Next case is case 19167, V1 Church, Inc. No action. On the back page, first case on the back page was case 19138, Arturo Penava.
I just had we were waiting on secra. Case 19138, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Motion has been made to approve as presented. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, 5-0. Next case is case 19147, Thomas Drago.
Yeah, so I was not here and neither was Tony.
147? No? Okay.
The 25th.
Okay.
We're just waiting
You
for
are
the
correct.
sequel in this one.
Our comment with this application, what we were just, our seeker was just based on the 3 variances being requested. Any future proposed development will be subject to further seeker review, as I believe they were doing an addition, but that was separate from this application.
Okay. You want to make a motion?
The shed setback, the paving, and the height, that's all this application was for.
So we're gonna move to approve as.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve application 19147 as presented.
Motion has been made to approve as presented. It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye. Motion passed, 3-0. Next case is an extension of time. Case 1-18201, George Diffendale. Huh?
You took their money?
You already took their money, so it's approved. All right. 5-0. It's approved. Extension of time. Next case is case 18406, MJ Industries. They're asking for the case to be reopened. It has to be unanimous decision in order to reopen the case. I'm a yes. Tony?
I'm a yes.
Adrian?
I'm a yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Okay, case will be open and will be heard the 24th, September 24th.
If you get a chance, would you go look at it?
And that concludes our meeting for tonight.